Hello, Year 8. Welcome to week 5 of Trinity Term. This video is going to be all about me reviewing the work that you did for last week's work. That's week 4's work, the work where you did a digital drawing out of the window. And it will feature me talking very briefly about what you're doing this week. If you want to hear more about what you're doing this week, there is a separate video for that. And of course, we'll be talking about it during the lesson. With that said, I'm going to open up my PowerPoint presentation that I've prepared with the other teachers, and I'm going to talk through the work. Okay, so I will be talking quickly now about 8A, 8D, and 8E, and the people who produced the best work in those classes. Here we go. First up is Dolores, normally the first person to send me the work, and every week I get work from Dolores. Thank you very much, Dolores. Fun and chunky composition that features a degree of abstraction. It reminded me of Howard Hodgkin. Really, really good work, Dolores. Here, Jemiah has really surprised me with a very unusual, interesting drawing with some transparency in it, some distortion or form in it. And it reminded me a lot of this Patrick Caulfield drawing or painting. I'm not sure what it is really, but it reminded me of it because it was really good. And I know Jemiah's been struggling with IT problems, as I'm sure many of you have. So well done, especially well done to Jemiah and anyone else that's overcome technological difficulties to get their artwork in this week. You are a shining star. Well done. Okay, this is work from Peter, also in 8A. And as you can see, Peter's done a lot of really detailed mark making and added a lot of pattern to his drawing to describe the surface texture of what he's seeing. And a kind of gentle, fleshy color palette reminded me a little bit of this sort of style of French illustration, 50s French illustration that I'm a big fan of. Thank you very much, Peter. Well done. Okay, here we have a nice observational drawing from Primrose. I love that she's used mark making in the trees here to describe that kind of like complex inner texture that trees have. I'm also really impressed that she clearly added in the sky first before anything, because that shows me that she's thinking about layers, she's thinking about depth, and that she's using the functions in Brush's Redux that will give her the best results. So well done, Primrose, for listening to our instructions there. Good work. Okay, this is a piece of work from Bieber. As you can see, this is 8D we're talking about now. She's not done a digital drawing. She asked me if she could do something with pencil and paint, and I said, of course, why not? So she has done a very lovely, spare, selective, careful study of a quite an interesting leather seat in a bay window. Really controlled use of materials here, and it reminded me quite a lot of this Hockney painting and other Hockney paintings like it. Brilliant work, Bieber, thank you so much. This one is from Kate Sataraman, also in 8D, and Kate, I know she's worked really hard on this week, and I believe it's really paid off. I'm sure everyone watching this is as impressed as I am with this piece of work from Kate. I mean, it's obvious again that she's thought about background and foreground, and that she's probably layered things up and added them gradually. I know that drawing these cars at all these different angles must have been a real challenge, but I feel that she's done an excellent job of it. There's a kind of a nice combination of flatness and depth in this picture. And yeah, I'm really impressed, Kate. Thank you so much. Here we have an unexpected kind of abstract response, really, or abstracted response from Lucy, because we can see how someone might see something like this out of a window. Perhaps, you know, it's condensation on the window in the morning, or it's a bit misty, or, you know, it's a bit dark, or your eyes are half open because you've only just woken up and everything's a bit blurry. But it ended up reminding me quite a lot of a Mark Rothko painting, a famous abstract expressionist. Beautiful work, Lucy, and thank you so much for all that texture as well. Nice piece of work from Sophia, also in 8D, and you can see here how it reminded me of a painting by a guy called John Bratby, who is famous for making quite gritty sort of paintings of his own domestic environment with these kind of slightly warping sort of verticals. A lovely little piece of work, Sophia, thank you so much. A very minimal graphic response here from Tizia, and it reminded me instantly of an Ed Ruscha painting. Ed Ruscha, very well known for doing these sort of American scenes with tight text on top and the beautiful sunrises. And I think Tizzy has really captured something similar with her digital response this week. Excellent. So this one is an interesting one from Francesca. Not only did she have an interesting idea and add a cute little cat into her digital illustration through a window, which I loved because I'm a cat owner myself, but she actually sent me a separate piece of work that was not related to what I asked her to do. Now, I just want to take this opportunity to say to Francesca, well done, you're amazing, and I love it when people make work that's their own. If anyone else out there is making their own work, perhaps that they feel doesn't link to what we're doing as a school, please still send it to us, because I, Miss Barrett, Miss Stewart, would all be delighted to receive extra work, and we will share it and give you feedback on it just as if we had set it for you. So well done, Francesca. Great to see you experimenting on your own terms and also responding to the task we set in an interesting way. Well done. Hansi in 8E, who, as I'm sure you guys know by now, is quite comfortable with digital art. He is some sort of iPad wizard, and here you can see he's added quite a lot of textures and patterns into his response to this photograph, and they look great, don't they? Really cool. And as he commented in his own words, the textures and the colors that have been exaggerated and added in here have begun to abstract the image, okay, make it less representational, make it more just about an interesting combination of colors, textures, lines and shapes. Excellent, Hansi. You never failed to disappoint. Jemima, now what I thought was worth mentioning about this is that although this sketch by Jemima looks very loose, quick, effortless, I know that it wasn't necessarily easy, because Jemima's obviously been practicing this and working hard on her drawing skills, and that's why she's able to sketch in this very loose way and have the drawing still work. It's one of the few drawings I received this week that have a little bit of white space poking through and still work, in my view. There's maybe only one or two others that managed it, and I think that's because of this loose confidence she has, the subtle colour she used, and also the fact that she created a kind of implied border. It's not explicit, but it's there, definitely. Love it, Jemima, thank you very much. Lydia, Lydia did an excellent job this week. So impressive what you've done here. We've got a really lovely choice of colours, especially this dark grey blue on the left, and then this really energetic looking cloud of lots of mark making in it. Cool composition as well. And I love the marks in it. They're just so human and loose and fun and energetic. Brilliant, Lydia, thank you so much. Right, Lola's work. So this immediately reminded me of the work of this painter Vuillard that I'm a big fan of. Mr. BA likes him too, and he's in the process of letting the canvas poke through the paint. And I feel like this is perhaps one of the other examples this week of somebody that let a little bit of white poke through and still achieved something that looks good. So really nice work, Lola, thank you very much. I also love the dreary colour scheme here. It makes me think of London straight away. Marcello, a very chunky, bold composition, but with a sort of off-kilter, again, almost abstracted piece of brickwork there. Really lovely. I love the way the cloud comes over the border as well. Again, I think that we've identified something here. Borders work really well in digital drawings, because the normal border you get is of course the border of the screen. So why not make your own border, okay, and sort of control that space, take command of it rather than let it be defined by the device. Okay, right, cool. Melissa and Lizzie, nice work here, girls. I just included these together because I thought they could both be improved a little bit. Melissa, I just think that you could zoom in and tweak a few things in your picture, but I'm very impressed by the way you covered the whole space with colour. So your work is fun but not quite finished. Lizzie, I love this area down here. I feel like you've put so much time into that area down there. So much, in fact, that I feel like this is detracting from it a little bit. So what I would do is I would actually just chop across here, okay, chop across the middle so that we can focus a little bit more on that bottom half. Sometimes when you finish with a piece of work, even after you finish painting, there's still work to be done. Okay, now I'm not going to have too much of a grumble here because lots of people in 8E especially submitted work to me this week. Other forms I had less of a good response from, but a lot of people were sending me work that just didn't feel finished. I know that we're up against it here and that we're all adjusting to managing our own workload without the structure of lessons to help us. And I also know that digital drawing is difficult sometimes, and that you might have technical difficulties and other things. But I do feel that for a lot of people, it's just a case of spending a bit more time. I don't know where you are spending your time. Perhaps only you can answer that question. But for some people, I feel like 20 minutes tops, 20, 25 minutes, 20 minutes. I can't really see there being any more time having been spent on these. And I think that you're letting yourself down. These are really solid starts, okay? I've done drawings just like this in 20 minutes or so, okay? And then worked on top of it and created finished work. And you need to do that as well, guys, okay? So make your life easier and your work feel more finished by using the layers function, working from the back forwards. Use smaller brushes to achieve smaller marks. It's no good trying to draw a leaf on a tree that's 300 meters away with a brush that's this big, okay? You need something tiny and you need to zoom in to get the details right. Finally, just spend more time. Set yourself a timer if that helps, okay? But don't give up after 20 minutes because you're never going to produce something that's beautiful in 20 minutes. Even a professional artist would struggle, sorry. Okay, moving on. Enough grumbling. Let's move on to Miss Stewart's classes here. Now, she's actually started with a Year 7 piece of work, just to show Year 8 what's possible. To be honest with you, Year 7 almost beat you this week because they're just so much more willing to spend a bit of time, struggling, making mistakes, persevering, being resilient, all those things that you promised me you would do in your artist manifestos. Year 7 actually followed through and did it. And that's why their work looks a little bit better in some cases. This is a piece of work from a boy in 7C. And I think we can see from the level of quality here that he really sat down. He perhaps even spent a little bit too much time on it, okay, which I don't encourage anyone to do. But this is what is possible when you sit down and you really try. And I believe everybody in Year 8 is capable of doing something just as beautiful as this. Anyway, moving on. Right, Jan, an original imagined response using digital collage and some drawing. This was an interesting, surprising response. Yeah, I can see that. Thank you very much and well done, Jan. Quite reminds me of like 70s children's television. Very cool. Julie, a lovely study with great use of colour to show sunlight hitting building opposite. Yeah, that is lovely. Well done. Lovely detail and use of placed photo to inform drawing. Good sense of interior space through simple black window frame. I love that black line across the composition that tells us we're looking through a window. Isn't it amazing that just one black line can tell us that? And yet it does so obviously. Okay, Stanley, a detailed study with lots of well-observed architectural features. I agree. Great use of different brushes to enhance depth and great texture. Again, a good sense of interior space through the simple black window frame. Thank you, Stanley, well done. Ruby, a typical Ruby style energetic response, focusing on interior view and a small window. Positive tone and lovely sketchy drawing. Nice use of non-representational color. I love it when people use a natural color scheme and study the colors, or even use that feature where you can tap and hold so that the app selects the color for you. But I also like it when people throw caution to the wind and really experiment with color, and that's what Ruby's done here. Amir, nice contrast between flat layers and experiments with texture. Good observation of details and intense, unusual colors. A great example of all the different techniques you can explore. That's really good, Amir. Feels like you've really tried a few things out here, and I think it's worked. Maddie, bold, vibrant colors with focus on delicate details within flat layers. In particular, like the text of the road markings. Me too, that's really cool. Excellent job, Maddie. I love that one. Hannah, interesting perspective and angle, has clearly, has clearly worked from background toward foreground and focused on delicate details. I can see that too, Miss Stewart. You see, everybody, we can tell. We know how you made your drawings because we've made so many of them ourselves. Both pieces and many others in Year 8 would benefit from the use of transparent layers to add more depth and variation. Excellent tip, Miss Stewart, thank you. Anastasia, a really unexpected image, which is quite disorientating and hard to make sense of, but great angle and use of muted color scheme, lovely sketchy lines and marks. Oh, cool. I love this one, Anastasia. I see what Miss Stewart means. It's kind of, what am I looking at? You know, it kind of messes with you a bit, but I think it looks really nice. Well done. Okay, some feedback from Ms. Barrett now. Anna May, fantastic, successful digital response to a photo taken by Anna May on the night of the Grenfell fire. Excellent use of the Brushes app to create a really detailed, highly executed response. Well done, Anna May. A difficult subject matter, but a very nice, sensitive digital drawing in response to a tragic event. Beatrice, a detailed response with lots of well-observed features, great use of different brushes to enhance depth and great texture, and a good sense of the interior space through the window frame and the radiator below. Great depth and pictorial space. Well done, Beatrice. Yeah, I love this one. I think it's really good. I love that purple blind as well. Very, very fetching. Alvaro, good variety of brushstrokes and mark making used. I love the detail of the green curtain on the left-hand side, suggesting the interior. That's a nice paintbrush effect there. And contrasting with different green marks of the tree on the exterior. That's right. Excellent. So much can be communicated through different brush marks and textures. Brianna, interesting and unexpected angle. Yeah, it's kind of off kilter that. I like it. I love that pink color as well. Slightly disorientating perspective. Yeah, it looks like you're kind of falling over. Exciting use of color. Nicholas, another good use of the interior set against the exterior. Lovely use of highlights on the curtain. They are lovely. That's right. A feeling of movement in the curtain, suggesting of a fleeting moment in time. That's right. When you can capture something fluttering in the wind, you know, is there anything more evocative of a snapshot? Ismail, although quite difficult to make out what is going on, there is lovely, expressive, sketchy style to this response. Lots of energy and movement. Well done, Ismail. Good effort. Right, is that everything? No, there's more. Marat, a lively, exciting response using bold, vibrant, and unexpected uses of color. Good use of black outlines to represent the crane against the soft, peachy colored sky. Lovely. And Miss Barrett really sold it to me there. I love these color combinations here. Very interesting. Good stuff, Marat. Well done. Lauren, I'm really impressed with this piece of work from Lauren this week. A really strong linear image. Crumbs, it is really strong, isn't it? Excellent attention to detail. Oh, I want to zoom in on that and see all those fantastic details. Look at all that brickwork and the detail in the different fences. Realistic use of color, good sense of the interior as well. Strong, bold, dynamic window frame. Yes, there's that dark area down here telling us we're inside. My Year 8 work of the week. Well done, Lauren Weimer. Excellent. Okay, right. Now I'm going to talk very briefly about what you're doing this week, okay? And just remember what I've said this week, all right? Listen very carefully to the tips that we give you when we set this task because they will help you to do the best possible job of it and just spend a good amount of time on it, guys, because if you do something in 20 minutes, it's always going to look like something that was made in 20 minutes. Think of a slogan or statement with the potential to provoke thought or lift the spirits of passers-by. Draw or paint your message onto paper and stick it on the inside of a window facing out into the world. Now, I'll talk more about this in the lesson, but I just wanted to show you some artist examples and then what I did. So here's a piece of work by Lawrence Weiner. Okay, he has his text going from the floor onto the wall and the text says tension. So there's a link between the meaning of the word and the way it's been placed. This is a piece of obsessive repetitive writing from John Baldessari. It says, I will not make any more boring art. I will not make any more boring art. And it goes on and on like that, okay? So maybe you could use repetition in your work as well. Maybe you could also use his bombastic tone, okay? These are almost like lines that you write when you're in detention, aren't you? This is a piece of work from Barbara Kruger. So there's nothing against you using a little bit of imagery in your work, although I would stress that text should be the main thing you're using this week. And then finally, a very famous poster that you might have seen before from Bob and Roberta Smith, Art Makes Children Powerful. And I think this could be a great excuse this week just to get some coloured paint out if you haven't had a try at that yet, and do something that just, you know, smacks people on the face as they walk past the window in the nicest way possible. Okay, so this is probably what you're all feeling like. You probably will see these rainbows on the streets. the chalk on the pavement, the signs in the parks, even the printed materials, okay, that some galleries like Camden Art Centre are putting outside, and then obviously notices from people. So what are you going to communicate with the outside world? This is what I did. Okay, I made a sign that said Add Oil London, okay, and just to very briefly explain what that was about, I took a phrase that I knew had become popular in Wuhan province where COVID-19 started, okay, and I adapted it to apply it to London. So my work is about how things get lost in translation, how pandemics like this bring people together across divides, and also my use of colour was a reference to patriotism provoked by the Queen's speech, and also medical signage in the form of the Public Health England logo. So there's my piece of work, okay? What's yours going to look like? I look forward to seeing it and talking to you about it in next week's lesson. Right, with that said, I can end this video, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I will stop recording after I said goodbye.